Good evening, everybody. My name is Ridhima Pathak. Welcome to Sports Today. And that day has finally come, huh? The series is leveled 1-1, a place that the World Test Championship is at stake. And so is Australia's reputation at Gaba, where they've not lost a single test match since 1988. Along with that, India suffers from serious injuries. Who will be our playing 11 is the big question mark. Let's dive straight into that discussion. I'm joined by Rajashri Gupta and Deepdas Gupta. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
So, the day is here, and there are lots and lots and lots of things to talk about. But before that, if you could just lay out for me, Deep, the importance of tomorrow's match, the test match that starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's huge because you're in you're almost there creating history, which you have by winning the series in 2018. But this is a great situation to be in after whatever's happened. If you put this whole series into the right context, the kind of injuries, then bubble and everything else, and whatever's happened off the field, unfortunate things that has happened off the field. I think everything put together, I think it's been it's been a good series in terms of cricket. But this is it, the final test match. Yes, India is depleted because India is depleted, but India has also shown that with the depleted side, they've fought and they've managed to punch above their weight rather. Sorry.
Indeed. Indeed, and India for sure is entering with momentum. Australia, though, has fitter players in India, but of course, India's got the momentum. Having said that, Rajashri, this is happening in Brisbane, Australia's fortress. They've not lost a single Test match in 33 years, and also India's never won at Gaba. Is that going to play any part before we get to the playing 11?
Listen, with this Indian team and given the context of the series, I think a lot of it won't really matter. Look, once Virat Kohli left, then you've been marred with all the injuries. Who would have thought we would be 1-1? A lot of the former Aussie players didn't give this team a lot of chance. A lot of people did not think India, going into the series decider, India would still be in with a chance. It is difficult. It is going to be difficult, but I don't know whether this is going to play up in their, subconsciously that much, because they leave a lot of that behind them. They will take heart from their victory in Melbourne. They take heart from that hard-fought draw at Sydney. They'll be looking to be charged up. This team environment, and we've been talking about how a lot of Ajinkya Rahane's resilience and steel have shown up in this team, and I don't think a lot of that is going to matter once the teams cross that boundary line tomorrow. It's going to be a one for the numbers. We'll see how that pans out, though.
Of course, we will. But Deep, are there technical aspects of playing at that stadium? What is the kind of stadium that it is, and what is the kind of pitch we're looking at? How is Gaba?
Yeah. See, Gaba that way is for me the quickest, along with Perth. I think it's the fastest, it's the quickest pitch, the bounciest pitch that is there in Australia at this point in time. Along with the Perth pitch. So that's the reason it gets that much more difficult for touring sides. Generally, Brisbane used to be the first test match, but now for whatever, the reasons that are there, it's the last. So that might help the touring side a bit, which in this case is India, because they've already played 3 test matches in Australia. But trust me, this is bouncier than what we've seen so far. This will be quicker what we've seen so far in this test series, and it's going to be difficult for the batters, surely.
So how do we counter Australia on this fast pitch, Deep?
For me, I think that plays into India's hand to a great extent, because it generally is a bowling friendly pitch, and when you look at the Indian bowling side, which might have very inexperienced fast bowlers in the ranks, it might just help India that way. And the other important aspect is, as I mentioned, this is the last test match, so the batters are kind of used to the Australian pitches. This, even though, would be quicker, faster, and bouncier than the others that India's played on, but at least you're used to it by now to a certain extent. So that could be a little more of an advantage for India. But yeah, expect a lot of on the right shots from the batsman, expect a lot of horizontal back shots from the batsman, and do expect a few bounces and a few hits to the bodies, a few more bruises.
Right, and we should address the elephant in the room. Who replaces Bumrah?
Is that for me, Radhima?
Yeah, it
Right.
is.
So for me, the Indian team is not announced as yet. We know the Australian side has been announced. I think they still want to see if there is any chance of Bumrah playing, but it just seems not the right thing to do, at least for me. If Bumrah is not very fit, not take a chance with him. And I would replace him with Shardul Thakur is what I'll do, because Shardul has played Test match cricket. He was unfortunate on his debut Test match, had to leave the ground in the very first over with an injury. He can be quite handy. He's had 60 plus first class matches, so he has a lot of experience of red ball cricket, and he's done extremely well. If you look at his red ball cricket record, it's been fabulous. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think it'll be Shardul.
And Rajashri, if Bumrah does not play tomorrow, who replaces Bumrah for you?
No, I agree with Deep. It's probably going to be Shardul Thakur because of his experience in first class cricket. And also, look, I think he brings in that extra little bit with the bat. With Ravindra
Hmm.
Jadeja ruled out, you have
Yeah.
to sort of also balance the lower order after that bit of hiccup there. And moreover, it's you when you talk of conditions in Brisbane, it's fast. You at least the bowlers will be deep, will guide you through that better. But the bowlers will be instructed to hit the deck hard. And remember, without Jasprit Bumrah, you look at the total experience. So Shardul Thakur one plus Saini would be playing his second Test match. Siraj will only be in his third Test match. So that's a combine of 4 or 5 Test matches between the bowlers. If you leave out Ashwin's Test matches, so you need that sort of first class experience when it comes to that. Tina Trajan undoubtedly is very talented, but if it comes to Test match cricket and in the longer run, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, and probably that's how the team management is also looking at it. And as far as playing just with Bumrah is concerned, we've talked about it. It's highly unlikely. What if you endanger him for the England Test series, and what if he breaks down in the middle of the Test match? We've had Umesh Yadav, who got injured in the second innings of the second innings for Australia. You wouldn't want that with this kind of experience, and we'll be left with 3 bowlers in that case. So I don't see any probability. We'll obviously Vikram Rathore has said his fitness will be assessed on match day before the toss, but highly unlikely at this stage.
Yep. But also, Deep, do you think that Siraj will get help on this pitch, considering he's fast, he's got bounce?
Yeah. So I think the bowlers will, the faster bowlers, even someone like Ashwin who's bowling superbly, that extra bounce and pace. I mean, the reason why I think Ashwin didn't bowl as well as he did in the first 2 Test matches could be because of the slowness of the pitch at Sydney. So obviously pace and bounce helps all kind of bowlers. So I think that's the kind of thing that will help Ashwin as well. And obviously, as you mentioned, Siraj, Navdeep Saini, even Shardul Thakur, who might not be as quick as Saini or Siraj, but has the ability to swing the ball. But someone like him also would get some assistance off that surface.
Right. We've got a question here in the comment section by Austin Tikune, and he's asking, Deep, should India go with a 4-man pace attack? Saini, Nattu, Shardul, Siraj.
No, I would, even though those 4 names are very good, Natarajan's bowling very well, but as Rajshi mentioned, and I second him on that he does not have too much of experience in red ball cricket. Even if you look at his first class record, he hasn't played too many red ball matches. And this being such an important game, and also, I mean, why drop Ashwin or rest him unless again it's an injury concern, which he had, the back issue. Even otherwise, I mean, I will not think about a team without Ashwin there. So yeah, definitely Ashwin variety. The way he's bowling, he's picking up a lot of wickets, and also I think what will happen is he will. I mean, I hope that it brings the batting confidence. The last innings that he played with the bat gets his batting confidence back. We want to see the Ashwin the batsman that was there till 2017. Post that, we saw a little downwards swing in his batting curve. But I hope we also get Ashwin, the batsman, back what we had till 2017.
Yeah. But that's hoping that he doesn't have the injury. Now, of course, Rajshri, if he has the injury, he doesn't play. Does Kuldeep Yadav come in for him then?
Likely that is the likely change if that's going to happen, right? But again, even with our Ashwin, even if it's 60 or 70% fit, I think both Ashwin and the Indian team management would want this man on the park. He's the second highest wicket taker in the series so far. If you look at the top 4 or 5 wicket takers, it's all pacers. Ashwin is right up there with 12 wickets. And also, the Deep mentioned, and I want to ask this question to Deep, do you think it'll be a factor? Because, we heard about this back problem and it's a hard pitch. But depending on when he comes on to bowl, obviously he doesn't have to bend his back like a fast bowler does. But do you think that trajectory will sort of impact his bowling with a back on a hard surface? How does that affect the spinner?
It does affect the spinner as well, because obviously his bowling action, he also has a jump, and then obviously there's a lot of twisting of the spine and movement of the spine, not just forward bending, but also sideways. There's a lot of movement of the back with the spinner as well. Maybe not as much as a fast bowler, but even then, it might impact. And if it's serious, or if he's not really fully fit, that might have an impact. We all remember him in England, right? Was it the Nottingham Test? Where he was not completely fit. He had a groin injury and he wasn't the same bowler. So it will. But you know what? At this point in time, the way that Ashwin's played the last test, and the way he's batted, I think he will walk through a brick wall right now. This is what I think. So even if he's not completely fit, I think he will be out there giving it absolutely everything. And let's not forget the jibe from Tim Payne about we'll see you in Gaba. So yeah, I'm sure they'll see him in Gaba.
Yes.
I really like this. All right. But in a hypothetical situation, if you're hoping that Ashwin is, fit, but just in case, does Washington Sundar?
Can I also add, sorry, Ridhima,
Yeah, sure.
the other important aspect why you need Ashwin is the amount of experience that he has. And we've seen that he's also been kind of a bowling leader or a bowling captain for this side, and and especially now that Bumrah also is doubtful, I think his presence there, the experience, the leadership qualities that he brings to the table will be that much more important in this test match.
Yeah. Now, since you mentioned experience, let's consider this in points as to which side has a better chance. I mean, we've got a lower order filled with a lot of injuries. On the Australian side, they've got the top order. You've got a Pukoski who's had a small injury, and David Warner was not completely fit. So they will have. Will they be changing their opening partnership? What do you see happening on Australia's front?
Sorry, Ridhima. They've already announced their 11. They've ruled out Bill Pukoski. Yeah, Marcus Harris is been named. So Marcus Harris is going to play for the first time in this series. So they've already named it.
Yeah, my bad. Then I did not see that. But so, how does that work out?
Rashi, you want to take that?
Sorry, that's for me. Look, it's going to be tricky, with Marcus Harris coming in, David Warner. Their concern will be around David Warner, because before he came out to bat in Sydney, he did say, and we also spoke about before his press conference, we spoke about this issue that David Warner is not even 30-40% fit. And we saw that in both the innings, that you saw both his dismissals, you saw him on the field. It did affect him. That turnover time between the third and the fourth test has been, 3 days. I don't expect a major change in his fitness for sure. David Warner, gritty and great as he is, whether he overwhelms overtramps that, we'll have to wait and watch. Marcus Harris, and this Marcus Harris David Warner combination. Look at Australia's batting woes right through the series. They've never gone into a series with their opening combination so rattled. You had Burns, who came in, was replaced. You tried Matthew Wade at the top, was a temporary stopgap arrangement. And with David Warner back, you think, he's going to solve a lot of your issues. But clearly a man is not fit. And, Ashwin, if Bumrah plays, they'll be able to exploit that. And look at the Indian opening combination on the other hand. I think Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, they have been solid, haven't they? You could argue about Rohit Sharma's dismissal on the penultimate evening. You could, Shubman Gill is just about 2 Test matches old, but he's shown the talent. So there is a lot for India to take heart from, even though they've, 70% of the team is depleted, and we don't know who's going to replace Bumrah if he's going to play. There are so many uncertainties, but there are casualties on the Australian side too, Deep.
That's right. And since this is the thing that India is right now pumped up with a lot of other factors which are also off the field and on the field. One of the questions which is very interesting from one of the in the comment section is, what do you think is going to be Australia's state of mind?
Well, to be honest, Australia's state of mind, obviously they'll be a little upbeat because they're going to Gabba. Because the fact that, as you mentioned before, they haven't lost a Test match since '88. India hasn't won a Test match at Gabba. So obviously, I mean, that does help. Even though, I mean, they've struggled. They've struggled right through this series. They've struggled in the last few years, to be honest. So. But yes, I mean, when you're going to a venue which has such good records, and you have a good record when you're going to a venue like that, that does have a psychological effect. Also, the fact that they know this is quite a depleted Indian side. They do know as a batting unit, which hasn't really fired apart from Steve Smith in the last Test match and Labuschagne, a batting side which has not fired, but you will be a little more confident going into this Test match, knowing that, there is no Bumrah. Obviously, Shami wasn't there. Umesh wasn't there. So even though I don't think they'll be complacent about it. They can't, because they haven't played that kind of cricket so far. But they will be a little more confident going in it. But yeah, as far as India is concerned, listen, I mean, at this point in time, I'm not going to rule anything out. I know it's a depleted Indian side. I mean, we've mentioned about one change, but obviously Hanuma will also not be there. So Hanuma is not going to be there. Bumrah is not going to be there. But the team, the mindset of that dressing room is totally different, it seems, from the outside at least.
That's true. And also the fact that they're playing Harris and they're playing Warner, there are two left-handers. So does that make things easier for the Indian bowlers, Deep?
That does, to a certain extent, yes. Also, the fact that both, if you look at someone like Siraj and Navdeep Saini, their natural ball that they bowl, the stock ball, is the one which goes diagonally across the left-hander. Obviously, Siraj had caused a lot of problem to Warner with that angle. And you expect the same thing with Harris as well. One of the biggest challenges for a left-hand batsman is to counter the angle that a right-arm fast bowler gets against them. So, technically speaking, yes, it will be a little more advantage from that perspective. And also looking at the kind of bowlers that Siraj and Navdeep Saini are. Shardul is more of an outswing bowler. That's his stock ball. Gets the ball to move away from a right-hander. But yeah, the other two, they are like diagonally going across the left-handers.
And how does India stop Labuschagne and Rajashri?
Just get him out as quick as possible with that. Let him. That is the only way. I mean, those Jadeja's not going to be around for those quick runouts. But both Labuschagne and Smith, it is no secret now, right? They like shuffling out to the off stump, and they have before the third test they kept containing them on the leg side. That plan did not quite fire off in Sydney, but again, it was a slow pitch. It was the slowest of all the matches that we've had on the Australian tour so far. But with Brisbane, these two guys, no matter who you are, they'll have to take strike again from 0 not out on the first ball. So India going to be, I think India will stick to their guns and stick to those plans. In fact, they did not start off too badly against Smith and Labuschagne in the first innings in Sydney. It was just the slowness of the pitch. It just allowed them to play their game and they get on with it. Both of Steve Smith was on the back of a rather poor run of form. But we come into Brisbane with the gap up pitch. It's going to take some time for the Aussies to get used to that again. The only flip side of that for Australia is that if Bumrah does not play, that's the only thing I'm worried about, the lack of experience in that bowling lineup. How to stop Smith and Labuschagne. It is not just about skill sets. It is also about that mind frame that, you have to succeed against a top batsman once they get going. With Bumrah, if he's not playing, that is going to be a cause for concern for the Indians.
Yeah, and with Smith, you think Deep Rahane should get Ashwin out as soon as Smith comes to bat to exert the pressure?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Ran has done so far. I mean, every time Smith's out there, and fortunately, more often than not, Smith's out there a little early, and that always helps. So the earlier, the better. Getting Smith out there in the center because the ball's new, and we've discussed this last time as well when Smith got that 100. So yeah, I mean, I think it'll be like Rajshri said just now, more of the same. This is going to be a different pitch. It'll be bouncier, quicker. So that will kind of make a little bit of a difference. It won't be that easy to adjust the way they did in Sydney. Well, but they have to keep at it. They will have to be very, very disciplined because that's a the margin of error is very small. You drift a little further onto the legs and you'll be whipped. That's where both Labuschagne and Smith love it. So you have to be very tight with your line and length, and that means a lot of discipline. That means a lot of hard work, both physically and mentally.
Right. We've got a question here, Deep, by Kumar Rishav, and he's asking, sir, what do you think now? In which format of cricket is India the strongest?
Uh, Strongest, I think to a great extent, I'd say Test match cricket and ODI. Uh, I honestly think Test match and ODIs. I'm talking about world cricket right now. Uh, India's got the bowling unit and to a great extent the batting unit to be successful under any conditions, anywhere they go in the world. I think they have it in them. I think ODI. It's a good question actually if you think about it, because I think ODI would be number one on my list. Then I'd say Test match and I'd say T20 would be the third.
Ah, nice. What about you? What about you, Rajshri? Which
I
format do you
agree.
think
I
is?
agree. I agree because look at Test match cricket. This looks like a very well-oiled machine. We talk of home advantage, and it's always somehow I don't know why it comes to the Indian team when they start winning when they're winning Test matches at home. You're saying it's only winning at home. What about the Aussies when they win at home? I mean, they can't even they won one against a mightily depleted Indian team, right? We went to England, yeah, we lost, but we gave them a stiff challenge. New Zealand is one of the hardest places to tour. I think this Indian team is a world class test team. You still got to go out there win matches at home, right? And they've done that in Australia. They've won a Test match in England. They won consecutive series in the West Indies. As far as ODIs are concerned, again, very well oiled. It's just that probably you sometimes still miss that Dhoni mantra in the shorter format somehow with with him now out of international cricket. You miss that Dhoni magic somewhere in limited overs, and just that one aspect where India need to probably get used to scoring a little more quickly in those academic overs from overs 15 to 40. Probably that will sort of put them at a more consistent level as world beaters in ODIs. That's where I think they've gone wrong over the last 3-4 years and as reflected in the World Cup as well.
Yeah. Well, we've got a test in hand tomorrow, and we've got Rahane's task cut out because the bowlers are relatively inexperienced. So you think they'll get carried away with the bounce, and this is where Rohit, Pujara, and the seniors have a role to play?
Uh, yes, I think that's where even someone like Ashwin has a huge role to play, because it's very easy to get carried away to find the right length, and especially if Bumrah is not fit enough to play, and you're looking at three very, very inexperienced at this level fast bowlers from India. I think Ashwin, Ajinkya obviously as the captain, all the senior players. I think this is the game where the senior players has to stand up again, which they've done right through this series. Pujara, Ajinkya, Ashwin, the leaders in the side, obviously Ajinkya, the captain, they all have to stand up because this game, listen, let's be very, very fair and honest. Australia are firm favorites in this test match. Looking at their record there in Brisbane, looking at the teams, everything from every angle, you have to accept that Australia are the firm favorites. And India, again, with the mindset that they've played, the kind of flow that they're in, the confidence that they have in the last couple of test matches, the way they've played, they obviously they're not going to be pushovers, no stretch of imagination. But it has to be led by the senior players who have done extremely well so far in this series. it won't be any different. The other important thing, if we can quickly discuss, is who replaces Hanuma Vihari, because that's the other important aspect. We did speak about Shardul Thakur, according to me, and Raj, right? But I think Hanuma, again, that's a forced change. So that's another thing I think, which the Team India, another reason why Team India, I don't think has announced the playing 11 before the game.
Yeah. All right, very quickly, one last question from the viewer. We've got Badrinath asking, how important is the toss? Rajshri, you go first.
Again, it depends on the experience of the bowling attack, right? India win the toss. Would you want to bat on that surface? I would say let's do it. That's a more aggressive call. The toss is important in that in you're making a statement, and you don't want to be batting last on no matter whatever the pitch conditions are in a stiff as against stiff opponents like Australia. So win the toss, bat first. Deep might have a different take on that. He's having toured Australia, but in Brisbane, you make that statement. Against the hard ball, it could work both ways. You could end up losing early wickets to the new ball, or a player like Rohit Sharma, coming up the order, he might just love that extra bounce and the ball coming to the bat and make an early statement. So that's from that perspective, the toss is important.
Interesting. Deep, what do we do if we win the toss?
I think that's a very good point made by Rajshri, because it would have been a different case had India was full strength. But the fact that it's an inexperienced bowling side, I would rather bowl first. Whatever extra help that you might get, you want to give it to your youngsters, your young fast bowlers, guide them through, help them settle down. Then with comparatively more experienced batting, you can hold it. And India has done well in the last 2 test matches, one saving it and one chasing down and winning it. So India in the last 2 test matches has done all right batting fourth. I mean, ideally speaking, you want to bat first. But looking at the current situation, I think it won't be a bad idea to bowl first, and the experienced batting to take more responsibility and say, you know what, 4th innings, we'll see whether we can win it or draw, whatever. We've done both, and take that responsibility.
Nice. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Any predictions? Quick predictions. I know we've become all like patriotic for this particular test series, but come on, quick predictions. Let's put a name to it. India or Australia? Who takes this away? Deep?
I just listen. Heart, obviously, you know what heart says, but if you ask the unbiased analyst in me, I'd say Australia's ahead. There's no two ways about it. They are firm favorites, as I mentioned, but don't rule out this Indian side. No chance.
Perfect. Rajni, very quickly, we have 5 at 5, at 5, and we're a minute away.
Okay. I'm not going with my head for this one. So let's just stick to my heart.
All right, we've got the head answer there and the heart answer there, but this is going to be one of the biggest challenges in front of India in terms of recovery, injuries, but yet the momentum is with them. We'll find out. Now, watch out for 5 at 5 with Borada. See you soon.